You just kind of smile, let the silence sit there, and move on with your day. That unbothered version of you didn't show up by accident. That version was built through 100 situations where you used to flinch and slowly, quietly, stopped flinching. And the people who counted on getting a reaction out of you are the first to notice the change. They don't know what to do with the new you. They poke harder, hoping the old version will come back. They bring up things from years ago, hoping to find the button that still works. It won't work anymore, and that's going to confuse them and frustrate them and honestly kind of scare them. Good. Let them be confused. Your piece isn't a performance for their benefit. It's yours now. People are going to bring up your old self when they can't compete with your current one. Pay attention to this pattern because it's one of the most reliable signals you'll ever get. The moment someone's losing ground in an argument, losing ground in a comparison, or just losing ground in their own head, they'll reach back into your history and pull out something embarrassing, something painful, something you've already grown past. It's not because that old story is relevant. It's because they've run out of material for dealing with who you are now. So they reach for who you used to be. Don't take the bait. Don't defend the old version. Don't explain yourself. Don't apologize all over again for something you've already dealt with. Just notice what's happening and refuse to play. The person you used to be is none of their business anymore, and certainly not ammunition for a conversation you're currently winning. Your growth isn't something you have to justify on demand. If they want to keep dragging your past into every disagreement, that's their coping mechanism, not your debt. Let them swing at a ghost. You're standing somewhere else now, and you're not going back just because they missed their old target. The thing you've been quietly ashamed of is probably less dramatic than you think. You've been carrying around some version of yourself in your head. The broke version, the heartbroken version, the one who made a fool of yourself that one night. The one who stayed somewhere you shouldn't have, like it's the worst secret in the world. And every time someone hints at it, you tense up, because you assume they've found the proof that you're not really who you pretend to be. Here's the thing though, most people have their own list. They're not actually cataloging your past in any serious way. They noticed one or two things and filed them casually, and they reference them when they want a reaction. The shame you feel is doing 90% of the work. The actual event, whatever it was, takes up way less space in everyone else's mind than it takes up in yours. Once you really sit with that, something loosens. You stop being hostage to a version of yourself that mostly only exists in your own anxiety. Everybody's been broke. Everybody's been heartbroken. Everybody's made a scene. You're not special for having a past, and you're definitely not alone. You're allowed to outgrow people who only know you as your worst moment. There's a specific kind of relationship where no matter how much you change, the other person keeps treating you like the version of you they met at 22. They'll say they're joking when they bring up your old mess. They'll say it's affection when they introduce you with some story from a decade ago. But over time, it starts to feel less like love and more like a leash. Being around them means being reduced, every time, to a person you've worked hard to leave behind. You're allowed to need distance from that. You're allowed to stop showing up to the reunions, where you always get cast in the same embarrassing role. You don't have to cut these people off dramatically. You can just see them less. Accept fewer invitations. Give shorter answers. Slowly, naturally, let the relationship shrink to a size that fits who you are now. The people who genuinely love you will update their picture of you. The ones who can't or won't are telling you that they were never really seeing you in the first place. They were seeing a character. Let them keep the character. Take yourself with you. Stop explaining yourself to people who are only asking so they can use your answer against you. You can tell the difference, even if you've trained yourself to ignore it. A real question comes from someone who wants to understand you better. A trap comes from someone who wants material. The trap question usually has a weird edge to it, a specificity that doesn't match the conversation, or a casual tone that's a little too casual. Your body knows. Your stomach tightens a little. Something in you wants to over-explain, to head off the misunderstanding, to preemptively defend. Don't. The correct move is a short answer, a change of subject, or just a gentle, "Why do you ask?" that forces them to reveal their hand. Most manipulators fold the second you make them articulate what they're actually after. They were counting on you to fill in the blanks and give them everything they needed. When you stop doing that, the interaction loses its fuel. You don't owe a detailed defense of your life to someone who's clearly collecting evidence for a trial you didn't know you were on. Less is more. Silence is a complete sentence. You'll be shocked how much trouble you avoid just by answering less. Nobody who really loves you wants to hear the full autopsy of every mistake you've ever made. That's a thing people online told you was what healthy intimacy looked like. And it's honestly kind of nonsense. Real closeness doesn't require you to hand someone every weapon that could ever be used against you later. Real closeness grows through shared experiences, through consistent care, through seeing each other's behavior under pressure over time. You don't prove your love by offering a complete confession of your worst moments on the third date. You prove it by showing up, being honest when honesty matters, and slowly building trust like a normal person. Some stuff is genuinely between you and your journal, or you and your therapist, or you and the people who were actually there. You're not being fake by keeping it that way. You're just being reasonable. The culture of radical over-sharing has convinced a lot of people that privacy is the same as dishonesty. And it isn't. You can be a deeply honest person while still holding certain chapters of your life close to your chest. Boundaries aren't walls. They're just doors with locks. The people who love you will knock. The ones who try to break them down were never safe to let in anyway. The insults that hurt the most are usually the ones that contain some thread of truth you haven't dealt with yet. That's why they land. A random stranger calling you stupid doesn't wreck you, because you know you're not stupid, but someone pointing at the exact thing you've been quietly insecure about. That one cuts, because your own silent agreement is what gives it weight. The fastest way to become unshakable isn't to get better at defending yourself. It's to honestly confront the stuff you've been avoiding in your own head. Once you've made peace with a thing, once you've looked at it clearly and either fixed it or accepted it, nobody can weaponize it against you anymore. They can still say the words, but the words don't find an echo inside you. Do the inner work so the outer noise stops mattering. This isn't about becoming invincible. It's about becoming honest. The parts of you that you can't joke about, can't acknowledge, can't even think about, those are the parts that give other people power over you. Shine a light on them yourself before someone else decides to. Your self-awareness is the best armor you'll ever own, and it's free. Stop feeling sorry for people who are bad to you. This is one of the weirdest traps good-hearted people fall into. Someone treats you terribly, and instead of being angry, you start constructing a whole backstory for them in your head. Maybe they had a hard childhood. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe nobody ever loved them properly. And then you use that imaginary context to excuse real behavior you're witnessing in real time. Everyone has been through stuff. Everyone. Most people who've been through stuff don't take it out on others. They actively try not to, because they know how it feels. The ones who do take it out on others aren't confused or misunderstood. They've made a choice, over and over, to prioritize their own comfort over other people's well-being. Your compassion is not a resource you owe them just because they've suffered. Your compassion is better spent on people who aren't actively causing harm. You can wish them well from a distance. You can hope they grow. You just don't have to be the lab where their growth happens, especially when they've shown no interest in actually growing. Cutting off a bad person doesn't mean you've stopped being kind. It means you've finally extended some of that kindness to yourself. Your reputation with yourself is the only one that really matters.